How you doing, Daron?
Doing well. It's good to be here. I left Austin. It was 75 degrees.
And we're even less than 57,
awful,
the opposite,
but it's
right?
good. It's good. I brought scarves. I got hats, all the things.
You got a Google beanie.
Yes, I got a Google.
We have supplied him with some Google swag. So we are really excited to have you here today, Daron.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
So my name is Ashley Chang, and today I'm just so excited to introduce all of you to Daron K. Roberts. Daron has an amazing story. It's not conventional in any means. Daron is a Harvard Law School grad, turned NFL coach, turned best-selling author, and now he is a lecturer at the University of Texas at Austin, where he actually started a Center for Sports Leadership and Innovation. He's the founding director there.
Yes, it's been fun. And I chase 5 little people, ages 7 to 7 months. So
definitely.
This is great. I'm glad to be here. Right? I'm like, this is a break from home. It's good.
Good. So we'll talk about a lot of things today. We'll talk about his book, Call an Audible. Congratulations on your book. Amazon, it was one of their #1 new releases. Sports Illustrated said this is one of the best sports business books of 2017.
Yeah.
No big deal, right?
It's been fun. It was one of those things, I don't know if people are like me, where you have this Google Doc and it's been living for 5 to 6 years with ideas, and that was where I was with this book. I'd been working on an introduction for 4 years, and I finally just woke up one morning and told my wife, okay, 6 days a week, 2 hours a day, I'm gonna write from 3:30 to 5:30. I'm gonna go to the same coffee shop, turn off the Wi-Fi, and just go. And she's like, Godspeed. And we did it, and it was fun. Here it is. It's actually tangible.
Amazing. And I have one too. It's my own special copy. I love it.
Do you read it before you go to bed at night?
I do. Well, I've already read it, and I'll read it again maybe after this talk.
And you can buy more copies if you need to.
Okay. So I can't go through you. I got to go through Amazon.
Yeah, better to go through me. Yeah, okay. Better take. But I've got 5 college tuitions, so.
Gotcha. We have to support the family. I understand. So Daron, you've done a lot, but I also want to mention, in his free time, Daron also started and leads a nonprofit football camp for, is it high school students?
High school students. So these are not blue chip athletes, right? These are high school, try hard, I love football, Daron types, right? And we take them for a week, 40 high school students, and in the morning it's yoga and meditation and reflection, and then we play football for about 2.5 hours. Then it's 3 hours of ACT prep, and we built a curriculum where we have taken the ACT math section and translated it into football examples. So geometry, we teach geometry and algebra using a football field as a grid. And then at night we have a series of 2 workshops, so social media etiquette, dress etiquette, how to write thank you notes, and it's been a wonderful program. We've had 500 kids come through in the last 9 years, so
that's phenomenal.
It's been fortunate, yeah.
It's really nice to know that you are giving back to the community and teaching practical skills, right? Yes, the academic piece, but also what should you wear? How can you present yourself in a way that is the best reflection of you?
And the social media class, oh geez. So I will go through all of so part of the application process is they have to list their social media handles. And then we have a team of people who we scrub all of their handles, platforms, and take screenshots of the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Oh, wow.
And they don't know what's coming. And so on day 4, I kind of just walk up and I'll have this dummy slide up about, hey, how to make a speech. And then slide 2 will be someone's post where it's nothing but profanity and, drinking a beer. I'm like, hey, who is this? And everyone's embarrassed, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you would do that. So now, hold on, there are 2 billion people out there on some form of social media. Why would you be embarrassed, right? And so we start there and then kind of work through how they can present a good image online.
That's great. Yeah. I think with technology and with all social media, it's so easy to just write something or post something, but if you were to actually sit in a stage and have the whole world, maybe you would say that maybe your students or other folks wouldn't actually post that.
Yeah, and all the research right now is showing that so much of what we do online is subconscious. So they're showing people tweets, posts that they've liked or shared, and asking them if they recognize them, and the rate's around 25%. So you're just scrolling, like here, heart there, and it becomes sort of stream of consciousness. And so really for us, we're trying to get the students to be more intentional and deliberate about their move, right? So when you hit the heart button, we say for employers or other schools, that is an endorsement. So you need to think about, do I want to co-sign on this message? Yeah.
And this is all in his free time, right? So in addition to the 4th and 1 football camp, Daron also leads a industry-leading podcast, and he's also the chief of the Donut Council, which is probably going to be my favorite part of this talk, and we'll tell you a little bit more about that later.
Yes.
And like I mentioned in some of the comms that you might have seen before, I've promised them, if it's okay with you, we will talk about Kevin Durant, and we will talk about donuts.
Yes,
which
that's
you
good.
Love.
Durant and donuts, I can do that.
Good. All right, done. Is that all right with y'all? Okay, sounds good. So why don't we just start at the beginning, okay? You're Texas born and raised.
Yes.
And what did you when you were a teenager kid, what were your dreams?
So 5th generation East Texan. What stood out, my dad showed me this map of this Panola County where he's from, and it was a census tract from 1870, and there's a plot of land that has 153 acres and the name Bill Roberts, and it's 1870, right? So he points to the map, he points to me, and he says, this is why you will never have any excuses. So I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? Like, I don't know. And then I find out that my great-great-grandfather finds a way to get 153 acres in a county that sent troops to the Confederacy, right? Like, how's a black man in 1870, like, how do you do that? And so my last book will be this. I want to present 3 different scenarios in a fictional way of like what could have happened. But that sort of set the stage for me of, okay, I got to pull the top off of my goals. And so I wanted to be the governor of Texas by 40. I turned 40 in November, so
You can adjust to 41.
I took a wrong turn somewhere, yeah. Got to push it out. So everything was I wanted to be the governor. And so I thought that was undergrad government, pre-law, law school, practice somewhere, run for Congress, like very linear, if A then B, if B then C. And now my life is just like, a sketch pad.
Well, I love it. I think it's just a different direction. But okay, so let's talk about law. So you wanted to go to law school. Why law school? Was it because you wanted to be governor? And then I know you kind of talked about Harvard. There was something about that school that really drew you there.
Yeah, Gregory Peck had a lot to do with it, right? So if I think about the imagery that really made me think about law school, To Kill a Mockingbird comes to mind, and seeing sort of this powerful figure being able to influence the community around him, that was one image that stood out for me. And then my dad bought a book of, it was a biography of Thurgood Marshall. I just remember this image of him standing on the steps of the Supreme Court after Brown v. Board and thinking to myself, like, I want to be like that guy. And so everything was channeled towards law school, and I'm at the University of Texas. I'm student body president. I had great grades. I'm like, I'm just going to walk in.
It's going to be easy, right?
It's going to be easy, right? They're going to like, oh, we've been waiting for you for the last 18 years.
Welcome, Daron.
Welcome, finally, right? And I get the letter back, and it's the old wait list, right? So it's, we like you. We like some more people a lot more than you.
And you're like, how is this possible?
It's like, in the event that all of them tell us no, we may call you back. But if you have better options, don't wait for us.
I feel like that's worse than a no.
Yes, it is. It is, because it's like you're close. It's funny. At the time, I thought I wanted the no. But in retrospect, I think the wait list was probably better, because there's just like this little glimmer of hope that I could somehow alter the situation in some way. But I got waitlisted 4 years in a row. So Gwen Roberts and my mom's like, "What? Just do something with your life, right?" I worked on the Hill. I went to the Kennedy School, and then the 4th year I got in.
And was it everything you imagined and more?
It was worse. It was worse. It was a hell. No, it was.
Good, I like this.
I was about to lie. I was about to like blatantly lie to myself. I'm like, no, it was bad. It's an interesting place, right? So you have 550 students come into a class and everyone's so high strung. You've got the folks who are just fresh out of undergrad, so they're going berserk every single second of the day, the gunners on the front row. I'd worked for a while, so I was kind of chill. I had to make sure I got the Dunkin' Donuts before going into class. Priorities. But it was fun. I think I enjoyed being challenged. And I did like the grind of like the 1L first year, in the library, you kind of stink a little bit. And you're reading stuff, you're falling asleep. I liked that piece of it. But I knew there was something else I should probably be doing in my life.
And so this talk is all about risks, and your story in itself is really interesting, right? To pivot so many different times. And I'd like to know, it was your summer internship, right? Your first summer internship in law school. Tell us about that experience and how you felt.
So I worked at, name, ampersand, name, okay, in DC. And I remember the first day walking in, working my way to my office and recognizing the fact that no one had smiled, right? Receptionist, insert first year associate, insert, third year partner. I thought, wow, okay, maybe it's just a rough time, That was the summer. And the highlight, first day, this first year associate comes in, hey man, what are you doing for lunch? I'm like, I don't have any plans. You're going with me, right?
You're like, this guy's nice.
I'm like, it's great.
Yeah, welcoming, it's great.
We go to lunch. He's not talking to me. He's like on his BlackBerry. It's 2006. He's on a BlackBerry, And I'm like, hey man, how's it going? We're talking. He's like, I just love it when you summers get here because we get our lunches comped.
Oh my gosh, so he didn't.
It's recruiting.
He wanted you there, not necessarily to talk to you, but to eat the lunch.
Yes. So then I thought, wow, the highlight of this grown man's life is a comped summer intern lunch. Like,
you're like, this is not
really
what I thought.
Right? So I remember going back to law school thinking, okay, there's probably something else. And that's when my buddy the next year calls me to go to work a football camp. And we were both try-hard players with, there were no teams beating down our door in high school saying, come play for us. But he was a football coach, a high school coach, and he said, hey, come to the South Carolina football camp. So I get there, and they need someone to fill in for a coach who hadn't shown up. So I'm thinking,
all right,
I play Texas football. I don't know what's going on. So I raise my hand. They're like, yo, where do you coach? I'm like, Mount Pleasant High School. He's like, all right, Mount Pleasant High School. You have group 6. Yes, sir. I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? Group 6 was 60 sixth graders.
Oh.
Okay. None of whom had any athletic talent whatsoever. Mamas had taken them to academy to get swooshes, and they were protecting the house, and they were doing it, and could not backpedal the length of this stage. And they had a coach who couldn't coach. Best 72 hours of my life. And there are these very brief moments in football where socioeconomic status goes out the window, what side of town you live, religion. You're just trying to get 11 people on the same page. And I recognized for me, that became a new form of public service. So I started the journey to try to become a coach.
So I think many of us, I'm sure you might agree, oftentimes we have inklings to do things. We see certain passions. But what was it that got you from feeling that you love this thing and shoving it away as okay, that was a great 72-hour vacation, and then turning it into something tangible and deciding you wanted to coach football?
So Brene Brown says, emotions are data. And I could not get away from the feeling in my gut. Even when I left the camp, I go back to Cambridge, it was in my mind, it was this uneasy feeling in my stomach. And I've also just been of the belief, my dad's a Baptist minister. So if you walk into the Mount Olive Baptist Church on a Sunday at 12:24 p.m., Kurt Roberts is going to be standing up saying, you don't know when you're going to die. You better get right with Jesus, right? And I think hearing that for so long, just the delicate nature of mortality, like you don't know. We assume so much. I've always thought, let me try to pull these things that I'm thinking about putting off into the distance. Like, let me pull them into the present tense, because I don't know if I get to retirement, right? And people are like, oh, just go practice, and then you can do that sort of as a retirement job. I'm like, who says I get to retirement, right? So from that step, I went into Excel, which if this was 2018, I would have gone into Sheets.
Of course.
And I went through every team in the NFL, and I found their address and every coach on staff, and I went through every bio and tried to find some connection. Are you from Texas? I mean, you're getting a letter from me. Did you study government in undergrad? You're getting a letter from me. And I just wrote a letter, multiple letters to every team in the NFL.
So that's part of this. This is one of my favorite parts of this book. And I'm going to read a piece of one of the letters. Dear Coach, and you sounded exactly like this, right?
Yes, exactly.
Dear Coach, I am a third-year student at Harvard Law School, and I want to become a football coach. After just 3 days of working as a volunteer coach, I realized that changing the life trajectories of young men can be fulfilled by coaching a sport that I fell in love first in high school. I understand that you receive countless letters each year, but I promise I will work harder than anybody else you are considering for this position. And then you went down and you said, some other wonderful things, and then ended with, please just consider me for any entry-level position you may have available.
Yes.
So what, you sent this out to many, many, many people?
Yes, and my last name wasn't Belichick, and I didn't have any buddies. There was no N. So for me, I knew the only way that I could break in would be to start at not even the bottom, below the totem pole. And
so what happened? You sent this?
I sent this, and I got 31 rejections. So, Belichick, Tomlin, you name it, going down the list, John Fox, all of these teams are saying no. And it gets to a point to where this is April, this is 2 months before I'm graduating. And my classmates are going to the Supreme Court and the White House and insert banking, I bank here. And I'm just waiting on one yes. And I finally get a call one day from a guy named Herm Edwards, who was a Kansas City Chiefs head coach. And he's like, hey, this is Herm Edwards. I need to talk to Daron Roberts. So I think it's a prank. And I'm about to say something that was not going to get me a job.
Hold your tongue.
I'm like, yes, sir. He said, hey, I don't open my mail. My secretary put this letter on my desk. What's wrong with you? Right? So I said, well, nothing that's been documented. I worked this camp. I'm telling him, he's like, yeah, whatever. Okay, here's the deal. He's like, take out a pen and paper. Take out the pen. Training camp intern. I'm like, yes, training camp intern. No pay. All right, gets better. No benefits. And then he says 18-hour days. So I'm going back to employment law. I'm like, this has got to be some kind of a claim. 18-hour days. He goes, are you in? And this 3-second sort of window, and I knew I couldn't ask for any clarifying information. I said, yes. He's like, hey, graduate from law school, get here. Hang the phone up, right? So I drove June the 6th from Cambridge, Massachusetts to Kansas City, Missouri, in a 2002 Chevy Tahoe that I still own because I'm cheap. It's also why I'm a Planet Fitness member. Yes.
We talked about that.
Yes.
Great deal.
Yes. And I was the grunt. I didn't sign a piece of paper in 6 months. If you were to Google Daron Roberts, Kansas City Chiefs in 2007, nothing would come up. Hey, Daron, offensive lineman would say, hey, we need 40 barbecue sandwiches. Yes, sir. I'd go downtown, get the sandwiches, bring them back. the defensive lineman, hey, we need 2 cases of dip, skull. I go to 7-Elevens trying to like get as much dip as I could, take it back. I slept at Arrowhead for 6 months. I got a twin blow-up mattress. And I just wanted to be the first person, the first face that Herm Edwards saw when he walked into the office 4:30 every morning. I was right there. And I was the last face he saw when he left at 11 p.m.
And how did you decide to give up law school and I'm sure, that life for this?
Yeah. I had a professor, David Wilkins, who was a really great mentor of mine. I'm talking with him about the decision. He says, listen, when you get your diploma, what you won't find on it is an expiration date. He said, I'm just going to take a wild gamble here and say that when you leave the NFL, there will still be legal problems going on. So if you want to practice, you can. He said, let me ask you this. How rare is this opportunity for you? So like how many times will NFL teams allow you to become a coaching intern or a training camp intern? And so for me, I just thought that with every opportunity that I get, I think to myself, okay, one, does it kind of flow in with my purpose? And that was an easy check. Yep. And then how rare is it? Like, will this come around or something like it soon? Mm-hmm. And if the answer is no to that, I'm taking it now. And then just adjust from there.
So tell us more about that first year.
Yeah.
The good, the bad.
Yeah, coaches wouldn't talk to me for 2 weeks. So I had all these coaches on staff who were former NFL players and, they had paid their dues and they got this dude who hasn't coached or played in college just around in the corner in a hoodie. And they're like, what the hell? Who is this guy? Why'd you bring him on? But they sort of warmed up a little bit. First game, we play at Houston. A part of my job is to make copies. So I make a copy of the plane manifest for the flight. And I see Daron Roberts, seat 40D.
Oh, there you go.
I'm like, bam, right? This is on a Thursday. Friday, chief of staff. Hey, get all the manifests, throw them away. Here's the actual manifest. We had to make some changes. 40D, no Daron Roberts. So someone in the organization had yanked my name. They thought that I had not paid my dues yet. Pretty high up person in the organization. So I said, screw it. I bought a Southwest flight from Kansas City, Missouri to Hobby. I land in Houston. I know where the team hotel is that Saturday night. I'm the first person they see when they get off. Herm walks in, he's like, dude, this guy. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, were you on the flight? I was like, no, I took a flight. Hey, listen, I don't want to be in the way. I'm just going to sit in the back of the room. If you needed me, he's like, we probably won't need you, Daron, but just stay out of the way. Like, cool. Special teams coach, he's like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, hey, I took a flight.
Surprise.
He's like, hey, I could use you tomorrow because we had a lot of new players, and I need to be able to find them when we go punt or kickoff. So could you help me wrangle players? I'm like, I could, but don't have any credentials. Can you kind of?
Yeah.
He's like, let me do something. By midnight, I had credentials. By kickoff, I'm on the sideline, and I'm in. And so I was on the flight from that point forward. But I think the point is, like, you really have to barge your way in like a diplomatic way, right? In a non-creepy way, which in retrospect, it probably was creepy if you just... So you have to be somewhat creepy, but kind of find this balance. I don't know. I don't have like a nice... Creepy factor, right?
Scale.
But I think it's so easy for us to send emails and think that we've done the due diligence. Like the email is enough. And you need physical presence to separate yourself from all the other folks who are trying to get into this position.
Good. And as, today we want to talk about risk-taking and certainly your story. Do you have tips for actionable things that folks listening and Googlers here can take back to say, I have this inkling, I really like to do this.
Yes.
How can I get from there to something that could be my lifestyle?
Yeah, so there's some really good research that's shown the IKEA effect. So who's shopped at IKEA? Okay, we've all done it, right? You walk in and you smell those, kind of weird meatballs, and you're walking around. It's kind of odd. It's weird. Anyway, they're like halfway cooked and Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
Everything looks so pristine, and you're like, oh, everything could go into my apartment. Like, I'll pick that desk. You get the box, and then you go home. You realize you don't have any tools. You have never assembled anything since like 3rd grade, building the volcano, the volcano that doesn't go off. And you build this thing, and it's a little wobbly, and one of the drawers doesn't really pull out, right? But it's yours, and you built it. We're finding that this IKEA effect, and think about it as sunk cost, people think about the fact that they've dumped so much time and effort into one course of action. They use that experience and that ownership to then talk themselves out of taking the risk, right? Because I've worked at Google for 8 years and I started here and now I'm there. I'm not gonna take a chance to now become a chef, right? What we found is the way to get past that is to expose yourself to rejection, okay? So I'm gonna challenge you to put yourself in positions where people are telling you no, okay? Here's another technique, a rejection resume. You should write this down or tweet it to yourself or Gmail it to yourself or something.
We have many messages.
Many forms. Take your resume and under education, list all of the schools you didn't get into, okay? Work experience, every job you did not get, okay? Go all the way down for awards and distinctions, all the awards and honors that you didn't get. Take it and then send it to all of your friends, all right? So I do some trainings with corporations and I'll have the CEO or CFO do this and then ask her to send it out, right? And first they don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they do it and then they send it out and it helps to humanize them in the organization. So someone's like, oh, I didn't get into Berkeley either. That's great. Or, oh, I got turned down for the 30 for 30, too, right? So I think building this comfort level with rejection and getting the no helps because you will document all of your big no's in life and then realize I'm still alive.
Yeah.
Like I'm okay. And if I get a subsequent no from taking a risk, I'm going to survive because look at all the things that I've been able to withstand. So really going through and cataloging, being very intentional about, hey, when are the times that I've gotten turned down or didn't get the big thing that I wanted? And comparing that to, I'm still in a good position, let me take that as confidence to go ahead and take more risks. So in my class, my students, they go on rejection challenges. So partners, you have to go to Starbucks and ask for a free drink. Your partner videotapes you, okay? And I had them do a pre-write-up and a post-write-up. And then we also take some risk-seeking scores, right? And they are so afraid. I mean, even the partner, like, we've got the footage.
Can I have a free drink?
The partner, who's not even getting rejected, is like shaking back there. We take all the footage and then we splice it together and I show it to everyone in the class. And that's usually a pretty interesting day. But they go in, they get the no on the macchiato, right? You can hear them trembling and their voice trembling. And then you have these great papers being written where they say, it wasn't so bad, right? Like, beforehand, I thought this was gonna be the worst experience on the face of the planet. I got the no, it wasn't so bad. I think I'm even willing to take a bigger risk in the future. So we're really doing a lot of research around, can we help to build your rejection immunity by exposing you, right, to new strains of rejection. So,
great.
Yeah.
And so we're talking about you as a lecturer and as a teacher now, right?
So yeah.
How did you, you were NFL coach and you moved on to many different teams and then you pivoted again, right?
Yes.
So you went from coaching in the NFL, which was another one of your dreams, amazing work. And then how did you decide, okay, time to pivot, let me take another risk, let me teach?
Yeah, so that's all Daron Roberts. So I was in Cleveland. Is anyone here from Cleveland before I start making disparaging? This goes out to the world.
It's gonna be recorded.
Yeah, I know. So this is a place called Cleveland. So we get to Cleveland in 2013. We went 4-12, which, as you'll know, is not uncommon for the Cleveland Browns. It was actually a pretty damn good year. unfortunately, the owner didn't agree with that assessment, and we play at Pittsburgh. We fly back into Cleveland, the last game of the season. I get a text from the owner's assistant, and it says 8 a.m. staff meeting.
Uh-oh.
So we wake up and go into the office, and the owner walks in, and he says, "Hey, really appreciate all of your contributions. You're all fired. All right? Good luck." So I go home, and I'm scrambling eggs, and my son walks in, and he's tugging on my shirt. So I'm scrambling eggs, thinking about where is the next NFL city. And he's tugging on my shirt. I'm like, "What's up, man?" "You eat breakfast?" I'm like, "Yes." Scramble, scramble, scramble. Tug, tug. I'm like, "What, dude? You eat breakfast?" Right? So I turned to my wife. I said, "Hillary, we are paying a lot of money for this kid to go to a private school. And is it too late to get a refund, or?" So I don't see something's not working. My wife, raised on a ranch in Kansas, she said, "Well, let me ask you a question. When was the last time you had breakfast with Dylan?" Right?
Oh, he's never seen you eat.
"You've never seen me eat." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, it was." I could not pinpoint the time, right? So I have a breakdown. Eggs are burning. You've got alarms going off. Like, man, and just the irony for me was that I had spent all of my time with other people's sons, and my own son didn't know me. Like, did not. He was legitimately surprised to see me with scrambled eggs. And that was a problem. So I decided to take a sabbatical. Side note, if you ever take a sabbatical, the equation is take the time you think, and it's 5x. Okay, you're like, "Oh, I'm just gonna be gone for a year, and then I'll come back." 4 years later, I'm still on sabbatical from coaching. But it's been great. I went back to teach at UT, some leadership classes. The Ray Rice episode unfolds, and I take this proposal to our president for us to create a Center for Sports Leadership and Innovation, to be more intentional around how we teach athletes to become leaders, to manage their finances. And that was in 2014. And I present the proposal, and he's like, "Okay, you're going to run it." I said, "I'm on sabbatical, so I'm kind of like here, but not." He's like, "No, you're running it." And December 2014, we launched. So we've been at it for 4 years. It's been very, very exciting. I teach a class to freshman athletes at UT, and we start with Brene Brown's work around vulnerability and empathy, migrate over into Angela Duckworth and grit, and Carol Dweck and mindset. Have our failure management sequence where they go and do all these rejection challenges, and then end with a leadership and financial management.
And how many students have gone through this program?
So I've had 850 students. I teach. The great thing about the class, I think, Ashley, is that we have half of the class is comprised of student athletes, half are non-athletes.
Okay.
So you have these two worlds colliding. You've got the receiver on the football team sitting down with this computer, CS major.
Yeah.
And one of the first things I do on the first day of class, I'll have the computer science major come up and put her schedule down on the board. And I'll have the football player come up and do the same. And you'll see football player, 5 a.m., workout, breakfast, shower, classes, lunch, practice, tape, get to bed at 10, 11. The coder's been up from like 11 to 3 working on code, sleeps to 10, goes to class, eats something around 5, and back to coding, right? And so I say, "Hey, look, the football player thinks, oh, we have it so tough, we have so much time that we're putting into our craft." I said, "You've got folks who are coders in training. They are spending as much, if not more time than you are. They just don't have 110,000 people cheering them on Saturdays. So you're both putting a lot of time into your craft. Let's find ways to kind of bridge the gap between student athlete and non-athlete." So it's been fun. They keep me young.
So this pivot was more so unexpected, but it's something that it seems to be very fulfilling, right?
Yeah, I think my life has now been. I'm trying to find ways to expand the worldviews of athletes. So football players, for example, I tell them, you are mathematicians, right? Like, for a quarterback to throw a ball 45 yards to avoid two defenders over the back shoulder of a person who's running a 4.3 40 down a sideline with the wind blowing 10 miles out of the west, like that kind of precision, that is very complex math. Take that and translate it over into your algebra class, right? And they see these worlds as being two separate spheres. And everything that we're doing is trying to break down these barriers to say, you know, when you give the speech at halftime that helps your team to come back from a deficit, that's crisis management. Like, that has an application in the private sector. Don't see it as, I was
just sports,
exactly.
And this is what I would need to do outside of that.
Yeah, exactly. So let's bring those lessons in any sport really, and translate those over into life away from sports.
Sure. Can you talk about your story about how Kevin Durant fits in all of this?
Yeah, so Kevin Durant spent 1 year at the University of Texas, was one and done, and has such an appreciation for that time. Like, when you talk to him, he looks at that 1 year sort of as the calm before the storm, right? And was a phenom out of Maryland. In 2015, he started thinking about how he could have a better relationship with the university. And so we're having conversations with his agent. I said, hey, how about you come to campus, make a speech? And he's like, no, we'd rather do a one-on-one conversation. And so we did this talk, and we just talked through how much he loves mom, which I think is incredible. He talked about the fact that he thinks that there's such a deficit of love in people who are willing to be vulnerable, and that he's trying to help people build a comfort level with that. And then he talked about, hey, I want to find ways to be more supportive of what we're doing on campus for our athletes. And so he's been a supporter, wrote a nice check to us a few weeks ago. Thank you.
January.
Thank you.
It was a nice check. It was $500,000 that Kevin Durant donated to the center that Daron founded. So big congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
great.
you. Appreciate it. Thank you. And if anyone wants to match it, we'll PayPal,
Anybody just raise your hand?
Venmo, whatever. We got it all.
I think there's a hand back there, right?
We got it. Yes. I got the little stripe thing. So yeah, it's been great. We've been able to really reach a lot of students, and we're going to be a little more ambitious now with some of our offerings, and we're moving into that period when we're scaling beyond the University of Texas. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I also want to let you know we'll have some time for questions. So if you want to just line up at the mics, have a few more things to ask Daron, but please also feel comfortable to ask him anything you want. Take the risk.
Take the risk. Take the plunge.
Daron, okay, now we talked about Durant. Now, our other favorite topic, donuts, right? What is with you in donuts?
Yeah.
And what is with this donut council?
So I realized that I need to be very intentional about spending time with my family. And I think a lot of people say, oh, I'll spend more time with my family. And then that's on a Sunday. And then you get to Saturday, and you think, oh, I haven't spent any time with my family, right? So I went into Google Calendar, and
we haven't even talked about
We haven't
right?
actually.
We should have you come back. Are you coming next week?
Yeah, of course. Just kind of up the temperature level a little bit outside. So my family's color code is orange, and we have every Saturday, 7:30, I take the kids, and we go to a different donut shop in Austin.
And you said there were how many donuts?
There are 38. Okay.
Is that more than New York?
It's crazy. It's like, and what's happened, this has been going on for 4 years. My mom does embroidery. So we've got T-shirts. I mean, we walk in and people are like, oh, donut council. Hey, comp you a few, donuts. Be sure to post.
That's how you ask for free things.
That's right.
Just wear the shirt.
Yeah, and now it's gotten to the point to where my kids are they're kind of becoming snobs in the sense of, like my daughter last week, we're at a place, she goes, cinnamon rolls here are a bit dry.
And which daughter is this? How old is she?
Sydney. Sydney's 5. I'm like, Sydney, you're 5. Just eat the damn thing, right?
But Dad, it's not.
She's like, it's not as moist. This donut hole they have. I was like, just eat. Now I'm spending a small mortgage, right? It started out, half a dozen donut holes here, have fun. People want, bear claws and chocolate sprinkles.
Well, and it started off with how many? And now
so yeah, it started off with 3. Now we have 5.
Congratulations!
And thank you.
Your youngest is 7 months, right?
His youngest is 7 months, and he's just trying to get some of the residue from the donut hole. Just kind of just looking at himself. But it's also a great time I get back with them around 11, so my wife can just go and be childless for a while. I mean, she works for a nonprofit and also helps with kids, and so it's good to kind of give her some space. But we're at it for 4 years, and it's been fun. So if anyone wants to donate to the Donut Council,
$500,000.
$500,000 we'll go a hell of a long way.
How many donuts can you eat?
Yeah.
Maybe with the bear claws it'd be less.
Yeah, with the bear claws. So now we're actually thinking, my oldest wants to make a pivot to breakfast tacos.
Oh, so you gotta have new embroidered T-shirts from Grandma.
We have bylaws. I have veto authority. I'm one of the permanent members. And
Self-appointed.
Yeah, self-appointed. I'm not sure how I feel about. I mean, we are in Austin, Texas, right? So there's a breakfast taco on every corner, but it kind of seems
It's a little different, right?
a little different. It's not quite so
It's not
pure.
quite donuts.
Yeah. So it's been a great way to spend time with the kids, and it'll be fun because my son was talking about, when I have kids, I'm going to do the same thing. So it'll be neat to see the grandkids doing that.
So, I mean, the coolest part for me about hearing about the Donut Council and why I wanted to talk about it today is, it's not just go eat donuts with Dad. It's you talk about real lessons. Can you share a little bit of
Yeah. So we talk through current events. I usually pick one current event, and then I'll pick one character trait, right? And so a couple of weeks ago was gratitude, and we talked about the value of saying thank you. And I'll have them kind of think about, hey, when was the last time you said thank you? And so Sydney, you can tell Sydney kind of runs the house. Sydney said she got an extra slice of pizza at school, and she told the lady at the cafeteria, thank you, right? I was like, well, how'd you get an extra slice? She goes, well, she knows I really like this cheese that they don't normally have, and she gave me an extra one.
It's not dry.
It's not dry. She's
okay.
very particular
Good.
about her food. And I said, well, how do you think she felt? She goes, she gave me a big smile, right? So we talk about how there are these things called soft skills that people talk about that's completely off. They're hard. And these are the skills that will get you fired, hired, governments fall, countries fall, right? Like just truth and integrity. So they're very important and they're hard, and we have to be very intentional about, talking about them. So, yeah, they're really, now they have their own topics, right?
Oh, they're
starting to bring them to hey, can we talk about movies and how we can get more time on the iPad?
Oh.
I'm like, no, that doesn't really fit in with the
Veto
scheme.
power.
Veto power done, right?
Not a soft skill.
Yes, yeah, not a soft skill. It doesn't fit. So it's been a blast.
So how do you, you are teaching students and athletes how to take risks.
Yeah.
Are you starting to teach that to your children? And if so, how are you doing that?
Yeah, so I'm going to start this year actually too, kind of going through the rejection resume. I'm going to start broadcasting when I get turned down from things. So I've been going through a 2-week cycle with Harvard Business Review, pitching them this article about Super Bowl winning coaches and focus and how CEOs can do the same thing. And got so close, and she finally was like, no, right? Well, I took a screenshot of the email. I thought, I need to just put this out on social media without her information and say, got turned down by Harvard Business Review, but you know what? It just helps me. I think the thing with rejection is you can't take it personal, but you have to make it personal in the sense of I have to dissect the entire process. Did I give her enough time? Did I really flesh out the proposal? Could it have been more succinct? And then use that for round number 2. So with them, we've been talking about entrepreneurship in our home. And so my kids said, hey, you know how you stuff all those Christmas cards? We want to start a business where people will send their unstuffed cards to us.
I'll send you mine.
Right? I've got like a legion, right, of hands, and we'll stuff it for them and mail them off. And I thought, that's pretty good. So my wife and I have talked about having some sort of entrepreneurial theme this year where we help them get something off the ground.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, we can't wait to see what you do next and what your kids, especially Sydney. What
Yes. Watch out for Sydney.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think we have a question.
Hey there.
Hey.
So I have a thought that I haven't fully thought through yet, and I just wanted to see if maybe something you've thought about. But how do you address like this, a person or whatever that's like coming, acting like a person who is risk averse, but perhaps their risk aversion comes from a place of needing to be perfect, or when we talk about kids and. I don't know, when we grew up, we talked about practice makes perfect. Now I make a deliberate attempt to tell my daughter, like, practice makes progress. But I feel like a lot of us were raised to think about being really perfect. And I feel like when I think about myself that I'm very risk averse, but I wonder if a lot of my risk aversion comes from this, like, psychology of being raised to try to be perfect.
Yes.
I don't know if that's something that you've...
What was your name?
Kati.
Kati. First thing, I'm going to steal that practice makes progress. So if you see it in another form, then no, I've just taken it from you.
It's yours.
Secondly, so I was at Amazon last week, and one of their 14, hope this is okay, one of their 14 leadership principles is a bias for action. And I've adopted this massive action theme for the year. I deal with 300 freshmen a year, and the helicopter parent phenomenon is a very real thing, where they land at the University of Texas, and it's got to be a 4.0, highest honors, president of this club, in the right dorm, like, the color of the bed sheets have to be perfect, like everything has to be perfected. So I'm constantly talking with them about imperfections, and also trying to get them to favor action and to say, listen, all you want is more data. So if you wait to build this thing until you have it all, what you think perfectly prepared, you've kept yourself from collecting the data that you would have gotten if you would have just thrown a beta version out there, right? And so I think we do feel like, and I think it's sort of this Instagram culture of, I need the right filter and the lighting and the angle, and then I'm going to post. We've taken that approach and sort of translated it over into our professional lives. And I'm a big believer in just throw something out there, get the feedback, go for version 2, because I think that's holding us back. We have 10-year projects that could have been 2-year projects because we haven't been willing to put something into the marketplace and just let the market speak for itself. So it's a real thing. And I think that the more that we can just say, this doesn't have to be completed when I let go, that I'm going to take that data and use it to make it better. So I think you have a good point. Thank you.
Hey, Daron, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm curious about your choice to get into coaching versus something that might have been like a more natural fit with your Harvard Law background, like front office type work.
Yeah.
If the goal was to do something really far outside your wheelhouse, or if you did consider that and just that wasn't where the passion was.
Yeah, so, and it's interesting you say that. Your name again? Todd. It's interesting you say that because, Todd, I had the coaches on my staff say, when I first walked into Kansas City, oh, you should go the GM track, right? Like you'd be a better suited GM. I liked the challenge of starting something. I played in high school, like I said, but I didn't have any coaching knowledge, right? And I liked the challenge of having to learn a new code. It's a language. That was more exciting for me than sort of doing something that resembled a bit of what I had invested 3 years. And I say, like, I'm constantly looking for ways to stay in over my head. And I thought that the GM track made too much sense. I really wanted to stretch my mind in a different direction. And I tell you what, when you you have 25, 26-year-old men who are 6'5", 240 pounds, running 4.3, 840s, flat-footed, jumping 46 inches, and you have to tell them the route to run on a certain play. Like, it takes a lot of courage to look up at this guy and say, this is what you need to do, right? And I knew that was going to stretch me more than the office side of the job. And the last point is, what's ironic, it's made me a better teacher. Like, dealing with athletes for 7 years has helped me, I think, to be a fairly good teacher in the classroom. So it was a thought, but then I sort of dismissed it and went for coaching. Yeah.
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you.
My name is Corey.
Yeah.
I got a comment and a question.
Yes.
So if you're ever in Atlanta, check out Sublime Donuts.
Oh.
Best donuts in the city.
Oh, I would
Yes.
agree. A few of us were just there. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Well,
nice. Cool.
you didn't call? Thanks.
Look, you're getting me in trouble.
Thanks.
Let's move on to the
I'm
question.
I'm sorry.
You mentioned kind of this idea of, like, when you were talking about the illustration of the CS student and the athlete and these kind of two worlds combining of sports and the outside world.
Yeah.
I feel like we're in a place where there's very interesting things happening with sports technology and those kind of two fields going together. So I'm wondering if you've seen anything happen on like UT campus or other campuses, or your program is working with any programs to not only get the technology into the athletes' hands to have them using it on the field or in practice, but also teaching them about the technology so they can get interested in it and maybe change it for the better to help future athletes.
Yes. So, Corey, great tip, and then on the Sublime, and then great question. So we're actually, in the fall, we're unveiling a sports entrepreneurship sequence at the business school. So we're going to have 20 athletes, 20 non-athletes, and they will start at ideation all the way to putting the thing into the marketplace, a year-long course. And we'll bring in sports entrepreneurs to expose them to this thing that we call entrepreneurship. I think you're spot on, because it's been relatively recent that people have kind of looked around and said, wait, we can test. Instead of waiting for the data to come back, we can just use the on-the-field data from practice and from training camps to inform the way that we build products. And you actually have a couple of athletic departments that are considering building in-house incubators. So you see this with the 76ers, for example, where they're just saying, let's just bring this in-house because we have world-class athletes to get good feedback from. Let's use this setting as a space where we can ideate and then test out new concepts. So I think this is really, over the next few years, that this concept will really, really take off. Yeah. Thank you, Corey. That's good.
Let's go over here.
Hi, Daron. My name is Veronica, and I am seeing in my field of expertise, which is employment law, that at the higher levels of corporate America, especially when you're dealing with like C-suite folks and the leaders in the companies, that the soft skills that you alluded to earlier directly contribute to the breakdown of and meltdown of workplace relationships. So in your talks and your trainings with those leaders, what kind of response are you getting from those leaders when you talk to them about skills like vulnerability or
Yeah. So at first,
emotional-
they walk in and it's HR has put this thing together and they've got to go get real mushy for an hour, right? So they don't want to be there. And then we really, especially with vulnerability, first I'll show them the research that says for managers who score high on the vulnerability scale, their teams produce more, like all the things you care about, revenue and shareholder, all of those measures go up. And it's counterintuitive, but the reason is the team members say, oh, if she has the confidence to be vulnerable, and there are some limits, right? But to be vulnerable, it creates this safe space and they feel more comfortable and they actually produce more and better products and ideas and concepts. So I first have to get them to buy in that there's this very real bottom line benefit to being and using vulnerability and empathy. And then I use that hook to then say, hey, listen, it's also just good as a human, right? Like empathy. the ability to take the perspective of someone else. If there's anything that's in short supply right now in our country and world, like it's got to be empathy, right? Because we know the right answers, we know what everyone should be doing. It's a black, white, it's a very binary world that a lot of us live in. But to be able to stop and say, I'm not from the same hometown, we're not the same race or religion, but I can see how she would arrive at this feeling or conclusion. I think that's important. It's an uphill battle, though. I think especially in corporate America, vulnerability and empathy are tough sells, but we're working.
Good. So we'll take one last question, and then you can come and ask Daron a few more afterwards, please.
My name's Zach. I'm curious, in the two pivots that happened, they kind of came at natural points, I would say, as far as you graduated and then maybe unnatural, but you were fired, you were let go. I'm curious, outside of that, how often do you kind of reevaluate where you are, whether there's something else you could be doing that would expand your impact, and moreover, you've done a bunch of different things. You've coached a group of say 10 folks in your 10 guys in your receiver group or whatever, and now you're directing this big thing. How do you compare those different options and evaluate impact in all these different ways?
Yeah, man, Zach, you just got right to the heart of it.
Maybe we should do this question first.
Yeah. That's the process. Like right now, this is where I am. So I talked about staying in over your head. I am constantly thinking now, like, am I challenging myself enough? If I get comfortable, it gets I'm on edge, and I feel like I may be getting to that point, right? I'm also at the point where I have determined for me that my life needs to consist of writing, speaking, and teaching. And if I think about the commonality between coaching and what I do in the classroom, it's the teaching piece. That's the common thread. So now that I've identified that subset of what I need, I'm going to filter any opportunity that comes across my plate through those three. It needs to go 3 for 3. I'm going to be 40. I can't go 2 for 3. Like, I need a 3 for 3 setup. But I even don't know if I'm really challenging myself enough right now. Yeah. So I'm actively thinking about that. And if you have some answers for me, I will take them. I'll pay you for them. But I think it's a question that people who want to be intentional about their lives, they're constantly asking that question. So,
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Well, Daron, thank you so much for spending time with us
Thank you,
today
Ashley.
and sharing your story.
Thank you.
And all this. I have one quick question.
Yes.
It'll be really, really quick. Super Bowl Sunday.
Oh, Lord.
Thoughts?
Eagles by 3. There we go, Philly.